tell me who you are, and as much or as little as you want to say about yourself, what you do. Um, Maybe, I don't know if we do this in the beginning or at the end, if there are any projects or things that you're working on, at the moment that you want to share.
My name is Bisi Adeleye-Fayemi. I am Nigerian British. I'm a feminist, gender and development specialist, policy advocate, leadership coach, and writer. And it gives me great pleasure to be here and today to have a conversation with my very dear big sister, mentor, and friend, Reverend Gloria Ogunbadejo.
Thank you very much. And that was the short introduction of who you are, because you're a lot more than that. But thank you for that. And as we go on, that'll become more and more clear, of the body of work that you've been doing. So I'm delighted, and if I can think of another word to say how I feel, I would. But at the moment, delighted in so many ways. To be able to have this conversation with you, and for reasons that we both know, it's been so long, but the way these things work, and this is how spirit is, and this is how, when hearts are joined, however however long it takes, whatever format, it's one of those things that people find their way back to each other.
Yes.
And they'll do it in the ways, sometimes in the way that they didn't plan. They had no idea. And for me, this is one of those times. Even though at the back of my mind, I know that I in my meditations, in my prayers, you're always there, because I truly have such respect, love, and care for you, which has all,
Oh,
you know that, sis.
thank you.
So okay, and so first question, is, on the back of our return from the reunion, AMwA's reunion, which I don't know what part you played in my getting there, but I know you had something to do with that too. I know you did. And I felt so held and honored, and I mean, for me, and I'll tell you this at another time, this trip has come at a time when I haven't been able to move around much for reasons which you probably already know about,
Mm.
and I've turned down lots of invitations, because of my own sometimes fear of traveling, and just not feeling the motivation. But there was something about this particular event that even my family, who I thought would say, it's too far. Everybody from husband to children to friends, everybody said you have to go. And I thought, what's going on here? So again, because I am very spiritual, and I know, that sometimes, information comes when from sources that you may not be expecting. I prayed on it, and everything was about me going. So I also feel in the back of my mind that you played much more of a part than I probably will know in getting me there. So I thank you in all kinds of different ways. Okay, so my first question is, how are we honoring the ancestral and spiritual labor that the Beijing moment made possible? And I'm talking about things like, the invisible hands, ancestors behind the achievement of Beijing. I also know that, you're a spiritual person. Um, I don't want to make any assumptions, more so than a religious, person. But
You are
so
correct, yes.
okay. So do you feel, or can you speak to how you think we as a movement, African women, how we're honoring that part of who we are, the ancestral and spiritual efforts of our forebears, of our grandmothers, our mothers, those who have come before us? Can you speak to that at all?
Thank you very much, Auntie Gloria. And once again, it was truly a pleasure to be with you at the AMwA Africa Reunion Conference in Kampala. And I do admit I plead guilty that you were one of the sisters who I insisted should be there at the reunion.
I knew it.
Because in fairness to Eunice Musime, the CEO of AMwA Africa, she has asked for my guidance and support throughout this process for quite a while now.
Mm,
I ran into Eunice 3 years ago
mm,
at the Commission on the Status of Women, CSW.
mm,
And she walked up to me and she said, "You are busy, aren't you?" And this was just in front of the UN. I was about to go into my hotel at the
mm,
UN Millennium Plaza. So she walked up to me and said, "Busy?" I said, "Yes." She said, "I knew it. I knew it." And then she held on to me.
mm,
She held on to me. It was so emotional for me. So since that time, and I promised her that I would be there if she needed my support for anything. And so last year she told me about wanting to put this union event together,
mm,
and they have commissioned someone to write the history of AMwA Africa, which is extremely thoughtful of them. And I
mm.
believe that the writer reached out to you.
Yes,
And
definitely.
so, as I was working with the writer, sharing my memories and thoughts,
Mm,
it occurred to me that we hardly have the time to sit and reflect on what has happened before us. And it takes a certain amount of intentionality
mm,
to get to that place.
mm,
And so, as events started to unfold around this reunion conference, I made sure that I kept my promise to Eunice and the other sisters at AMwA Africa
mm, mm,
and help them locate as many of our sisters as possible who I believe needed to be there. There's one other sister who really, really wanted to attend.
mm,
And then at the last minute, there was some urgent issue that she had to attend to, and she couldn't travel, but she was really looking forward to it. So,
mm,
and like you, she would have absolutely loved it.
mm,
So, having said that, I believe the way in which AMwA Africa conceptualized and organized this reunion is exceptional.
mm.
The fact
Absolutely.
that it even occurred to them to not just gather themselves as younger women and
Mm,
celebrate Beijing plus 30, as well as AMwA Africa at
mm,
40, they found it necessary to locate the sisters who made it possible to have that space created.
mm,
And as you well know, AMwA Africa was established in 1985,
mm,
March, by a group of African women who were living in London with different identities.
mm,
Some of them were students, some were spouses of students or of diplomats, some
mm,
were refugees or asylum seekers. And what they all had in common beyond those issues that brought them to the UK was the
mm,
fact that they had been closely involved with political and social movements on the continent.
mm,
And they wanted to find a way of continuing those engagements, whilst
mm,
at the same time providing support and solidarity for one another in London.
mm,
A lot of them have been involved in spaces with other women of color in different parts of the UK, but they
mm,
felt that they needed a space for women who had come into the UK from the continent. And
mm,
that's how AMwA Africa, it's a Swahili phrase which means solidarity among
mm,
African women. So that's how AMwA Africa started. It
mm,
started with women just meeting in their living rooms or offices. And then it grew over time into this amazing institution that has been a critical part of the feminist movement on the continent.